As I look around at our world today, I'm sure you do the same, and you see a lot of brokenness, you see a lot of ugly, you see a lot of evil, you see a lot of injustice, you see so many things that you're like, I wish that I could do something about these things. And if you're anything like me, it could be really easy to look at all of these things and become so overwhelmed with the need that you become almost paralyzed in your decision making. You're like, because I can't do everything, because I Jordan Chappell, can't go about solving all of the world's problems, I'm going to kind of retreat inwardly and do nothing. And it's in these moments that I get so overwhelmed with what's going on that I have to remind myself to focus on the things that I can focus on, to control the things that I have control over, to influence the things that I can influence. And really, as I look around our world, the only thing that I have control over, the only thing that I can influence is myself. And so I want to talk to you today about what it looks like to pray to God, to really seek God for a spiritual revival inside of ourselves. To ask God to do a new work inside of us, to restore the joy of salvation, to create in us a clean heart. And so I was praying through this past week what it looked like for spiritual renewal or revival in me. And I was just doing some Google searches about just some self-reflection questions to ask. And I stumbled across this author, theologian, some questions that he had asked in order to pursue a spiritual renewal or a revival inside of our hearts. And it was A.W. Tozer, and he asked this list of 10 questions. And I'm not going to give all of them to you today, but there's a few that I want you to focus on. And they were so impactful and transformational for me as I sought the face of God and said, okay, God, what is it inside of me that doesn't reflect your goodness and glory? What is it inside of me that you need to take away? And what do you need to add to me so that I can then look more like you, and then I can then step into the things that you've asked me to do. And one of the things he talks about, he says, set your face towards a sweeping transformation of your life. We must throw our whole soul into desire for God. I've heard the definition of insanity before as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so I've had to restructure and reorder my daily schedule. I've thrown my whole self into, God, I want to pursue you more fully. I want to throw everything that I have into pursuing you. And so what does it look like for you to reorder your day? What does it look like for you to sacrifice some things? Maybe to participate in fasting so that it interrupts your schedule, it interrupts your priorities in order that God might meet you in those moments. The next thing he talks about, he says, put yourself in the way of blessing. To desire revival and at the same time neglect prayer and devotion is to wish one way and then walk another. And so I was really challenged with, how am I seeking the face of God? How am I spending time just laying out before Him saying, God, I want to see you more fully? Because it's one thing to say, I desire revival, and another thing to align your life with, okay, God, I'm inviting you in to work and do a new thing in my life. He then goes on to say, do a thorough job of repenting. Hasty repentance means a shallow spiritual experience. And this was really challenging for me because last week God brought up some things in my life that He said, Jordan, these things don't reflect my goodness and they don't reflect my glory. And I had to go about the process of repenting and walking through in the context of community what those things meant and what it looked like for me to course correct and kind of change those things in my life. And one of the last things he leaves us with is have faith in God. Begin to expect. Look up toward the throne. All of heaven is on your side. God will not disappoint you. God is not hidden, and God is not hiding from you. The more you seek God is when you are going to discover Him. And so it's when you set your face to God and you say, I want a new thing to be birthed up inside of me. I want you to restore the joy of my salvation. I want to experience this revival. It's when you do that and you're looking towards the throne of grace that I promise you will experience God in a new way. You will experience this revival that, again, just bubbles up inside of you and overflows, and that is what will affect change in the brokenness of the world.